If you've never experienced extreme pain or heartache, I'm happy for you. But I want to prepare you for the eventuality of that happening. We all live lives where pain and heartache is possible and lurking around every corner, pretty much. In my experience, probably the lowest low of my life was whenever I was in an abusive relationship and I was cheated on multiple times. Just mental abuse, I would say. And when it ended, it was a really bad time for me because I just wasn't very mature emotionally. Not saying that I am now, but definitely not back then. And how this ties into the concept of resiliency that we're talking about this week. And I hope to save you a lot of pain in the future, or at least alleviate it a little bit. And in order to do that, I want to tell you the story of how that happened and how I dealt with it pretty much. So, the second time that I was cheated on by this girl that I was dating, I found out I did some, I guess, things that I'm not proud of. I looked at her text messages. It was actually, I saw her MacBook was open, saw some messages that popped up on there. I got super suspicious, so I ended up then looking through her phone. Never gonna make that mistake again. The concept of you will find what you're looking for is probably one of the most powerful. Everyone does shady things every now and then. No one's completely moral. If you're looking for something bad, you're gonna find it. And in this case, I found something really bad. She was sleeping with one of her coworkers. It was obvious at the time. She was sleeping over at this dude's house. I mean, I knew about this. He lived right next to her work. And it was in a pizza shop. So they were just all some, I guess, degenerate college kids at the time. So after this, I didn't really know what to do. Right? I had built my life around this girl, and that was a mistake in its own. I left my friend's apartment whenever I was living with them. I went to live with this girl. We lived in a two-bedroom apartment, and uh, she just trashed the place. She was a very disgusting person. The place was just filthy. She brought a dog in, shat everywhere. At a certain point, like, she stopped living there, and I was but she left her dog there, so it would just be full of shit sometimes. Uh, and we had cats as well, so it was just, it was disgusting. Yeah. Eventually, I was able to move out and live with my sister. She was gracious enough to allow me to live in her two-bedroom apartment, and I took the second bedroom. And this highlights the importance of having loved ones in your life, people who are there for you. So in this case, it was family. I think family, even though I don't have the best relationship with all of my family, the people that do accept me for the autistic ass person that I am, I really appreciate it because, I mean, I can be difficult to handle sometimes, difficult to deal with sometimes because I just say things as they come out. And I wanted to make this video mostly because I got some of these cookies from my sister, and it really reminded me of the times when she's always been there for me, even though I grew up as a bully to her, pretty much, a huge asshole. And then I guess I chilled out as time moved on. There was not, I mean, when you grow up, you realize there's not any reason to be mean to your siblings, unless, I guess, you never grow up, then you can continue that behavior. But yeah, so I lived with her during that time, and I ate one of these cookies that she made. It was a lemon cookie, and I remember seeing her face whenever I said this tasted so good, and I could tell that she, like, internalized it. And since then, she's always made these cookies, and she always, even though I've moved across the country, she sent me a whole bag of these cookies for me and my kids to eat. And I think it's really sweet, and also it reminds me of how our connections with people really add to our resilience, our ability to spring back into whatever shape we want to be. So basically, so we can get back on track to achieving what we want to achieve. If I were to go through this, if I were to go through that process alone, that I think that would have been a much different outcome. Um, I mean, definitely, I was, like I said, immature. Thought of taking my own life. It was an embarrassing time, right? It's not something that you really want to advertise to the world. It's not something. I mean, it's not like I did, but it's one of those things that you internalize and think, why me? First of all, then what did I do wrong? If you've reached that step, actually, some people get stuck in the why me phase, and that's the worst because then you have no agency and you have no ability to spring back. You have lost your resiliency completely because without agency, you can't spring back to get back on track. And yeah, I was lucky enough to have the thought of eventually have the thoughts of what did I do wrong here, and I think that's the crucial next step in recovering from a situation like this. And once you can figure out that there are things that you can do differently, then you can actually take action on those things and move on. Pretty much, continue dating, whatever, continue whatever you need to do to get to where you want to go in life. So yeah, that's all I've got for you today. So I'll see you next time.